Hi, this is Gary Cato with Project SOS, and I'm very proud to sponsor this episode of Salute. We hope you enjoy it.
Hello, welcome to Central Florida Salute YouTube. I'm your host, Bob Peters, and I'm at Apopka, Florida, on the road again. And we're at a VFW post, post number
10147.
And with me is Loretta Forlaw. Okay. And Jack Terman, right?
Right.
Jack's a World War II veteran, and Loretta, you're a Vietnam veteran.
Yes, I am.
And thanks to you, we got together here. I want you to tell me a little bit about this post. It's a beautiful room we're in here right now.
Yeah, this is the Post Museum, our military museum that obviously things have been donated over the years, and we have two members, Roland Doffer and Judy Waters, who just came in and built the cabinets, organized everything. So we're a full military museum now. Really can be considered that, and excited to have individuals coming. We just got some Constitution pamphlets for kids who come to visit. So we really are using and focusing on the museum as a key point as part of the city and part of this city community building that we share with the city. So we are actually post 10147 Apopka / Altamont Springs. Although most of our area or most of our members come from Apopka, we actually focus on Altamont Springs and are inviting more veterans from that area to join the post.
Mm-hmm. And this is a city-owned building, you said, right? So You're
Yes.
not open every day, or what are your hours? And if somebody thinks about joining that lives in the neighborhood, tell us a little about it.
Well, we have a great website. It's VFW post10147.org. So it's VFW post10147.org. And you can get a hold of us there at any times. We have our phone numbers posted on our social media pages on Facebook. We primarily have Facebook at the moment. We haven't moved to other social media platforms. But we're here every Wednesday and Saturday morning for coffee and donuts from 8 to 10. So the post is always open from 8 to 10 on Wednesday and Saturday. The third Saturday of the month, we have a breakfast, a community breakfast. And we have a great time. We've had some gospel singing. We're sort of copying the House of Blues a little bit and having some piano playing from, you'll be interviewing Lou later, and someone from his church came and played the piano during breakfast, and people loved it. So we're just really trying to make it a more veteran-centric, friendly environment, the kind of environment they want to bring their families in. Now, we have evening shows, like we're having Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Macs on the 21st of May. So the bar is open for that, and we have dinner, and people love it.
You're having not the real Stevie Nicks.
No, the Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac's tribute band.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting that.
Yeah, because
Yes.
I was going to say,
They're a little out of
you
our
must have a
budget.
lot of money to bring them in.
No, it's the tribute band, but they've played in Sanford and some other folks, so we've heard great reviews, and we're excited to have them, and that'll be May 21st. We have a Beatles Beat tribute band in July, so we always have something going on. We're going to start doing some laser shooting, so folks can come for that. The third Friday of the month, which will vary a little, but we have a game night for teenagers. We started with our junior ROTC, and now we've expanded to some other groups, and we're excited about that. We had our first adult board game night, the same on the third Friday in February, and we played American Trivia. It was a little late to start Yahtzee, so we're going to plan a night for Yahtzee for our next third Friday night adult board game night. And I learned to say adult board game, because if you say adult games, there's sometimes some misconception there.
I'm going to ask you to explain that a little bit.
So it's adult board game night with Yahtzee and American Trivia and Bunko and all sorts of things.
So, and if you want to learn about it or you're interested in attending, you go to your website. Okay.
And our Facebook page. And we're not shy. We stop and talk to people in the grocery store and everywhere and invite them in, and we've actually gotten some members that way.
Well,
so we really want to help veterans. Our
hopefully
goal
after
is
this
to help
airs, you'll get
veterans.
some more members.
Thank you. And our goal is to help veterans. So that's why we want them to come here, because we know that we offer a lot.
Yeah, well, that's great. But now I'm going to ask you about you. I understand you're a Vietnam veteran.
I am.
Tell us a little about where you're from originally.
I'm originally from Charleston, South Carolina. Went to nursing school in Charleston, then went into the military. I was in what they call the Florence Nightingale program. So you were an enlisted member for a year, and then you went directly into the military as a second lieutenant. And I was a nurse. I was in nursing school when I joined the Army and went through the Florence Nightingale program. So I was enlisted for a year, and then when I graduated and was ready to practice nursing, I went in as a second lieutenant. We went through the usual at San Antonio, where I found out that my right and left feet don't match that well. And also that map reading was not one of my biggest skills. But I'm a nurse, so it all worked out fine.
Yeah.
And I went to Vietnam in 1968. I was there for the year. Worked mostly in critical care in the emergency room. Very grateful for that year. I learned more than I probably would have learned in 10 years in a regular working environment. Was privileged to take care of many soldiers and other Vietnamese members that were supporting the Army. So for me, Vietnam was a great learning experience, and I've carried much of what I've learned there throughout my life. So I feel very privileged to have had that opportunity.
Well, I thank you for your service, and welcome home, sister.
Thank you.
I'm a Vietnam veteran myself.
Yes,
Air Force.
I'm really happy.
Yeah,
We're
and,
glad that you're visiting us.
Well, you know what? We this is what we do. You know, we're all about education and service, sacrifice, and honor our men and women who served in uniform. We are a not-for-profit. It's just basically my friend Sue over there and I, and we're proud of what we do. I've been I'm into my 13th year doing this stuff. So
and I'm really proud of the fact that you are looking diverse, and you've included one of our members, Catherine Wilgus, on your program, and her twin sister. And that's how we actually came to learn about you and wanted to support you as well. It's like this, you're doing great things for veterans, and we really appreciate that. And happy that you would come and let us share that with you.
Well, I'm glad to be here. This is a beautiful place, and we've got some really nice people here. And we got a guy sitting over there who's World War II.
One of my favorites.
Yeah. Jack, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from originally?
Originally, I was born in Ohio. I grew up in northern Indiana, near Fort Wayne, Indiana, on a plot of ground that was homesteaded by my great-grandfather. And he built his own big brick house. He cast his own bricks from a clay pit that he had on the property. The house was standing until, I think, 5, 6, 7 years ago. It was finally condemned. But I grew up in that house and spent my youth in it. And I know a lot of memories that would still surface from that. And I learned a lot. And his daughter, who was my grandmother, was born before Lincoln was president. She lived near us, and so consequently I had many meetings or gatherings or friendships with her and whatever. But the interesting thing was, having grown up in Indian territory, and actually they traded with the Indians, and by the way, the place that I grew up at, he built his place, there was a big lake on it. And every year, I had no idea what it was, but there was volunteer big leafy plants came up. You know, about that tall or what have you. Well, it turns out it was marijuana and peyote.
Let's go back.
But, I was telling my wife the other night, my wife Lois, and my mother had a huge dish on her library table, and it was probably about that big around. We had it completely full of arrowheads, including some axes that the Indians had made out of stone, or they were conveniently shaped some of the stones. So I learned something considerable about the Indian lore and so forth, and the problems they went through while they were homesteading and so on and so forth. And anyway, it was a joy to have her for a grandmother, and I
Yeah,
enjoyed her for many years.
that's quite the story. I mean, you know, but you're a life member here too, right?
I'm a life member.
Yeah.
I first belonged to VFW in 1947 in a post 2919 in South Whitley, Indiana. So,
Okay.
and then I've been in one other since during my moves. And I have visited a lot of the posts throughout the country because I used to travel a lot. So,
What did you do?
what did I do?
You on a run or something? Or?
Well, now you let it
Oh,
out of the bag.
sorry.
That's when I got my name Terman. I was protected from the law. No, I didn't. But well, anyway, that's pretty much of that era. And I don't know whether you want me to proceed talking about how my life evolved, or whether.
Well, you know, I'd like to hear what brought you. Was the war broke out? Were you drafted, or you just enlisted like a lot of guys? And how old were you then?
How old was I then?
Yeah,
17.
17. Yeah, there's a lot of you underage military veterans.
Yeah.
I did a show with the guy who started that association, the underage military veterans. So your parents signed for you? Now come on.
Not that they knew of.
Another one of those.
No,
Common story.
Yeah, common story, yeah. Well, we're glad you served, and you served in the Army Air Force.
Yes.
And you enlisted. Where did you go for basic?
I went to Keesler Field, Mississippi. That's next to the Gulf Coast, of course. And interesting thing about that town, that area, that was the only wet county in the state of Mississippi. So we occasionally had a considerable amount of drunken soldiers, or airmen, I'm sorry. But I don't often tell anybody this, but I had a strange thing happen. When I enlisted, I took the Army General Classification test and scored unbelievably high. That's probably because I had good teachers, and we had a library at the high school that I read copious quantities of books, and I learned a lot more from the books than I did from any other source. Anyway, I went into service. I enlisted, as you said, for 3 years, and wanted to become a pilot. However, it turned out, I wanted to finish the story on the Army General Classification test. I scored exceedingly high, 145 as a matter of fact. And then when I went to basic training, I think based on the good fortune I had in the interviews and so on and so forth, and this was, I don't know if it ever happened again, but I was selected out of the group and appointed as the flight leader or drill sergeant in the Army. And I took my own flight through basic training as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And anyway, I graduated from that, and then I was given the opportunity to select any school that I wanted. The mistake I made, I didn't ask for West Point, but that wasn't one of them anyway, I'm sure. But anyway, I asked a guy, I said, what's the most difficult one? And he said, cryptology. I said, well, I'll take that. So I went through some very rigorous training at Scottsfield, Illinois. And after that, I was put on a ship and headed toward Europe. And so anyway, I ended up with the 12th Air Command of the 12th Air Force in headquarters, and had some very interesting activities being in the code room and on some assignments as well. And when you're a cryptologist, you can create the codes or decode the codes, but you can't read them. Now, I don't know how you do that, but
I don't either. I think you ought to explain to, we got a lot of younger viewers, what exactly is a cryptologist? What exactly did you do?
a cryptologist will create coded messages at whatever level of it needs to be at secret, top secret, or whatever. Consequently, I had top secret clearance, had to have, and you had to report all secret messages coming through to your commanding officer. And he wasn't supposed to read them either. I think he did. Yeah, he did. That was his job. But I did that for the extent of my enlistment in the 8th Air Force. I enjoyed it. It was a challenge, and I'd love to do it again.
Let me ask you, you said you created messages. Did you also get messages from the enemy that you had to decode or anything?
If I did, I forwarded it to the cryptologists or cryptanalysts for that. But no, I would say, well, the colonel comes in and she has a message to say she's got it on paper or whatever, or she might dictate it if it's a very short one. And so I would encode it at the proper level and then transmit it to the reception, the person supposed to get it. And likewise, when it came in, it was in code. You would have to decode it at whatever level it was, because you had different methodologies for decoding. You had some old-fashioned, what they call strip methods. You read the strip and whatever. But toward the end, we had machines. They were the first of the machines that came out that they would automatically decode and encode. And you'd have a different setting each day on this machine. And by the way, this machine, which was a typewriter of sorts, sitting on a slab of flammable metal, that if you got in trouble, you lit a fuse, so to speak, the flammable metal would burn up the typewriter. And
yes, to keep it yeah.
Yeah,
that's kind of like the Norton Air bomb sight.
Yeah, Norton bomb sight.
Yeah, if they ever plane went down, they would destroy that so the enemy couldn't find out. So, similar thing, right?
Yeah, sure. But I know we're deviating a little bit, but Norton bomb sight probably helped us win the war in a great way.
Yeah, you knew the Norton bomb sight was developed in Connecticut, where I'm from.
Is that right?
I thought I'd throw that out.
Is that, what's your name?
Bob Peters.
I didn't see it on the machine.
No, that was before my time. I'm not that old.
But that's pretty much it. As I said earlier, I'd like to do it again, but they're not taking 90-some-year-old guys anymore. They might take Lou, who's going to be up here next, but...
Yeah. So what did you do after the service?
I worked for a company called, oh, good Lord.
It was a great job, huh?
Oh, yeah. Anyway, the guy that invented electronic television was one of the owners of this. His name was Farnsworth, Philo Farnsworth. Philo was a very brilliant. He invented the night vision system, and he held patents galore that were in the military. I had the pleasure of working with him on occasions, not on a regular basis, and he was a brilliant man, obviously. But I learned an awful lot from him, and I was with them for 9 years. Then I applied at Martin Marietta, which is now Lockheed Martin, at least it was a part of it. And came down here, and I said, well, that's a free trip to Florida from Indiana. I'll go down and talk to him. Well, some time later, I received an offer. I countered. They met my counter, so lo and behold, several weeks later, the truck arrived to pick up my furniture and family, and my wife and 3 children, and they moved us to Florida. And I went through some indoctrination and so on and so forth, but Very shortly thereafter was the manager of the engineering prototype labs, which built the first of everything. Now, whether it was a particular bolt or a flying missile. And I can name some of them, but the launcher, the one for they fire all these square launchers that's so popular now.
Yeah.
We built the first one and the first launcher.
Oh, yeah.
And quite a few others.
It's an interesting career, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Well, you know what? I got to mention this because Jack gave me his card, and I don't know if you can you zoom in on that. Well,
I'll give her one.
No, I want the camera to zoom in because this is a very interesting card. It has your name on it. It says you were Army, Air Force, Aerospace, retired, American patriot, and happily married.
And there she is.
There she is. All right. Well, listen, I want to thank you for coming on, and I enjoyed the show. And listen, I grew up with World War II. My uncle was awarded Distinguished Cross for heroism on the beaches of D-Day. My other uncle was with the Signal Corps, went all the way through Africa, and a lot of family members who served.
Yeah.
And you truly are part of the greatest generation, and I'm really glad you decided to come on our show.
Yeah.
And Loretta, I want to thank you for putting all this together.
Happy to.
And after you got out of the service, did you follow in a nursing career, or what did you do?
I did. I actually retired from the Army Nurse Corps. So I did have a break in service for school, but I retired as an Army Nurse Colonel after working in different hospitals, and being very fortunate to have them send me for my doctorate degree and all of that. So I love the Army experience that I had, and being a nurse is my dream of my life, and I've always loved it. So I was just very fortunate to be able to stay in the Army, retire from there, and have a great career with many wonderful soldiers like Jack.
Thank you.
Well, I thank you, sister. Welcome home.
Thank you.
And we're gonna close this chapter, but we're gonna do another show after this with another World War II.
Right.
So we got a special day today. I want to thank you for bringing us into this lovely room. She'll be taking some footage of it later that we can put in the show.
Yeah, it's really a lot of history here. A lot of history.
Yeah. But anyway, I want you guys to join me in saying goodbye. We're going to look into that camera right over there.
All right.
Once again, thank you very much for having us here. I appreciated talking to you too. We're going to be doing some more interviews here. Time to say goodbye, and this is how we do. To all our veterans out there, our active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Since 2009, Project SOS has assisted our veterans both overseas and here at home to overcome medical issues, homelessness, and disabilities. Initially, our efforts resulted in over 22 clinics opened in Iraq and Afghanistan. Recently, as troops have been withdrawn, we have concentrated on issues here at home. During this past year, we have been able to distribute 42 motorized wheelchairs and numerous mobility devices to our local veterans who have served in World War II and up to and including Afghanistan. We continue to offer solutions to our local homeless veterans in the Ocala National Forest and other Central Florida locations. Project SOS Support Our Soldiers needs your assistance to continue helping a growing homeless veterans population. Over-the-counter medications and personal hygiene supplies are acutely needed. Your financial aid will greatly increase the support they so desperately need.